Hi, everybody. We have a sports montage going on right now for the radio broadcast. Special things only for the radio broadcast. Behind the scenes. What's going on, Augustine? We got ourselves a sports montage happening on the radio right now, so that's why y'all can't hear anything. You know, music and Facebook and all their little rules that they have. Yes, special things. Everything I do is special things.
All right, I'm going to go screen.
It is. The tipping point with Mike Tipton, Fox Sports 1380. I was expecting a little EDM music there, but it's okay. There we go. It is an EDM Wednesday here on the tipping point with Mike Tipton, Fox Sports 1380. Got my guy, Andrew J. Pohl, coming off a fresh, hot out the oven version of Talk El Paso. Welcome to what it's like. Now you know my plight. You could plan everything you want. Don't mean you're going to get to it. There we go. The greatest quote of all time from the one and only Mike Tyson. Everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the face. Oh, I love it. It is. I mean, but yeah, literally that's like your plan should not to be punched in the face. And once you get punched in the face, everything goes out the window. You could be like Khabib. That's a name that I want to see if Andrew can say the last name of Khabib Nurmagomedov. Nurmagomedov. Yes. Crazy name. Love me some Khabib. Want to say what's up to our guy, Augustine Pimentel, Jennifer Gonzalez tuned in, D-Woo as well. And, of course, everyone that's on the YouTube and Twitter streams. Thank you all so much. Comment, like, share, do all that nonsense. Do it because it makes me feel better about myself and my life decisions. Sometimes. A lot of we're going to get to today. Heartbreak in Miami.
Mm-hmm.
Potentially sleepless in Seattle. Woes in Dallas. And changes in New Orleans.
Oh, just putting the flamethrower to everyone, aren't you?
Like literally every city that I could think of is where we are taking the flamethrower right now.
Flamethrower tour 2020, baby.
That's what it feels like. Cleveland's going to get some of the smoke too. Baton Rouge is going to get some of the smoke. Normally Wednesdays are like our barren sports desert. And for whatever reason, the sports gods have bestowed upon us a decent news day on this Wednesday.
I feel like that's been happening more and more, even when we don't have games that got pushed to Tuesday.
Augustine saying that I got the name wrong. Augustine, I know. No one's last name is Getoff. Come on. Keep with the program. Out of all the people, Augustine, you've been like listening to my garbage for 4 years. Oh my goodness. Like that hurts my heart. What makes my heart feel better, though, I'm seeing that Louis Huerta Jr. is tuned into the show. Thank you so much, Louis, for tuning into the show here. And, of course, our guy, Dan Ornelas, I see that he is tuned in right now as well on the Facebook live stream, Twitter, all that good stuff. You want to get on the show, you can, 915-544-KTSM, 915-544-5876. Call in, go share opinions on everything going on in the world of sports today. Yesterday was game one of the World Series. And that's where we get started in the opening tip. It is the opening tip right here on Fox Sports 1380. Thank you once again to everyone tuned in. Augustine, I don't know if this is a good sign or a bad sign, asking if it really has been that long. I started my radio journey August 24th, 2015.
Okay.
At the ripe young age of 31 years old, I felt like the oldest intern of all time at 31 years old.
I think they made a couple movies about that. Yeah.
I was gonna say, yeah, like I felt like, who was the one that was in that movie? Like the old guy. It came out recently.
De Niro.
Yeah, there we go. Robert De Niro. Out of all the names of me not to remember, De Niro, right? Strange. But yeah, like I did feel like that. I felt like the really old guy out there as well. Pat Costello saying it had to be Owen Wilson. That's another one as well.
Okay.
The one that he had with Vince Vaughn. I actually like that movie.
Wasn't that one like The Interns or something? They were going for Google.
The internship, yes.
Yeah.
The internship. Pat Costello saying, never mind. That's okay, Pat. We get it all together.
We got you. Don't worry.
That's my dude up in Bristol. Got nothing but love for you, baby. We still need to a little background here on like Pat. He and I have a friend named James. We were going to do a wrestling podcast. We did one episode, I want to say 2 years ago now, or maybe a year and a half ago now, that James was supposed to edit that for some reason never got edited and posted.
Oh, no.
So we did at one time do a singular podcast.
You have podcasted.
Yes, we have. And it was a glorious podcast that belongs in the annals of history as one of the greatest shows to have never made it to actual broadcast air. Augustine is saying, stupid joke of the day. Why do Smurfs always walk around so happy? That one writes itself.
Yep.
We already know.
I love this show so much, by the way. I just got to say that.
Pat Costello saying the reason why that podcast never came out is because we were too drunk and it sounded awful. Hey, I'm good with that too.
Okay, just put a disclaimer on it. Must listen to while inebriated.
Well,
Solves itself.
I will also say this, like that's the majority, like this show.
Best listen to while inebriated. Absolutely.
I think I've done the show under the influence. I wouldn't say inebriated, but borderline.
Probably should have been.
Multiple times. I was like I knew it was a mistake whenever Waltz came in here and actually like popped open a bunch of wine because he wanted to introduce me to wine because I'm not a big wine drinker. So thank you, Walt, the GM of iHeartMedia El Paso, for setting that groundwork that I could drink on this show. Done it a few times. Dan Ornell saying, playoff baseball is always great. Can we just cut out the regular season, cut it down to half already?
I'm kind of about that.
You know what? There's a part of me that likes what we saw this year from baseball.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Like I think baseball won a lot of fans back because it made it seem like every game matters. I don't think they're going to do 60 games. I don't even think they're going to do 100 games. I think they're going to stick with their 162. Yeah. But it's a terrible decision on their behalf because this got people invested into baseball again. Like it was nice to once again care a little bit about baseball. Now, my Yankees didn't go as far as I wanted them to.
No, but the stakes were that much more engaging. Yeah.
Because not only did you like have a shorter season, you had a longer postseason. You had more teams into the postseason.
Exactly.
That's something I think baseball is going to continue to do. Because it would be hard for teams after 162 games to have a like below 500 record, even if you're just at 500. Like you get that. But I feel like all of the stuff that baseball did going forward, like this year, like all the forward thinking they did, they're just going to revert back to like old baseball, and nobody's going to care about it again.
I hope they don't make that mistake. But we know they're gonna. Like it's like Austin Powers steamroller screaming at it from down the hallway. We know it's coming, and we could be moving, but not anything's going to happen. I mean, I'm just thinking back to before all the Rona hit. The contract negotiations, all of that. I mean, as the Rona was hitting, actually, with them. And I just see that coming from a mile away, and they're still going to get hit by that bus.
Dan Ornell saying 82 games is already too many, but at least the stakes are higher from series to series. And I kind of agree with that. Like I feel like baseball could be okay with an 82-game season, but once again, you got to think about it from the owner standpoint. You're paying these guys based off 162-year stuff that they like the full 162 games that you want to play that year.
Right.
How are you going to tell the players like, oh, okay, well, not only are we going to shorten the season, we're also going to shorten your paycheck.
Yeah, that's where, like I said, I know the owners are going to try to get away with that because that's their prerogative. And I know that the owners and then the players are going to come back and say, Oh,
yeah, no. And we've seen that like for all the gruff that football gets, at least the players and the owners are kind of on the same page. Like they say, okay, we're doing this for the good of the game. We saw it with basketball. Like the NBA is the perfect example of your ownership and your players association being on the same page protecting the brand of the game.
Exactly.
Major League Baseball ain't got that. I think Major League Baseball might be the worst, as a matter of fact, at that. Like even with all the stuff that NASCAR had going on, NASCAR didn't have that. Boxing and like UFC doesn't seem to have that, and they don't even have a players union or like a fighters union or guild or anything of that nature.
Yeah, they don't.
Yeah, for whatever reason, Major League Baseball, they have the union. They have all the money in the world. They've got zero salary cap. There's no way you're going to tell those players, yeah, you're getting half that contract.
That's how you don't have the season next time.
And then you also have to look at it from like this. Like I honestly believe that the TV rights and all that stuff would be fine with an 82-game season because we saw it happen this year. More people were involved. More people had their eyes on the actual TV than what they've had in quite some time because, let's face it, your average baseball fan has to be older than Tim Duncan, who's 119 years old.
Yeah.
Your average baseball fan was alive the 1908 World Series when the Cubs won. They lasted that whole 108 years.
I mean, they had to. They had no choice.
I was about to say, yeah, they're like, we're not dying until the Cubs win again.
Oh, I can only imagine the morgue that next day, though.
Oh, they should have died sad.
So salty.
Once again, it is a tipping point. My Tipton Fox Sports 13, 80. Our guy, Adrian Zamudio, I got words mixed up right there, saying that currently right now it is 0 for Bel Air, 3 for Horizon, 9-2 overall for Horizon. They went 6-0 yesterday, I guess, during some of the games that they had as well. Dan Ornell saying we really only care about baseball on opening day / weekend and in September onward. There's a 4-month snooze fest in between. I disagree with that because I love baseball at the All-Star break.
Okay, that's fair, but I wouldn't call it a snooze fest, but I'd call it like background. It's like white noise. Like you see it happening because part of the problem there is that, I mean, think about in the era when baseball developed. It was developed when people had to go to stadiums / radio. Like it developed a little bit that way, but I mean, look at the difference between that and football. Football is developed around TV. So baseball, it's not really that exciting except for the most consequential games. But the regular ones, yeah.
Whenever you look at like your whole regular season of baseball, like your normal regular season, 162 games, I will tell you this. I don't watch anything during the week, especially during like the latter end of the basketball season because your beginning part of the MLB season coincides with the end of the NBA playoffs. So like you've got that long period of time where basketball in my mind is king because basketball is a lot more fun to watch.
Yeah, it's much better for TV viewing. That's absolutely true.
I will say this though, on a weekend there is no better nap time than that in the middle of a baseball game.
You want to switch over to the golf channel there?
I've tried. I cannot watch golf.
The dulcet tones of the talking about the tee off, and that is just a beautiful swing there.
I feel like you and I would be fantastic golf commentators.
Except then we drop like, oh my God, oh, and then we like get fired.
Holy hell, did you see that hit?
I'm like, I'm sorry, your decibels were way too high there. We're going to have to let you go.
You peaked at a negative 12 decibel. We want to keep it about 14.
Just think about everything you're saying being muffled by a pillow that isn't quite strangling.
How crazy would it be if like those are like you get fired like that? They pull you in and they'll be like, we enjoyed everything you did. However, we're going to have to let you go.
Yeah, security will escort you out.
That would be creepy. I feel like that's what's going to happen to me because Walter's like a very mild-mannered guy. Although I bet like if the day that he does ultimately get to fire me, he's probably going to be happy. Like there will be fireworks as I have my box. Guess what today is? Oh man, I am like I've created my own demise here.
You are. At least it'll be a good time. Marching band comes through.
Oh, I'm about it, man. I'm 100% about it. I didn't get to it just yet, so I'm going to ask you, Andrew, as we go into game 2, who you got?
I don't know. I feel like I'm going to jinx my record, but I like the Dodgers still.
I hate the Dodgers so much, but I think they're going to win this. More sports coming up next. Augustine asking the golden question, like, why do golf people whisper? Because God forbid that you break the concentration of a golfer during the backswing.
Never mind the fact that they're, probably on the other side of the damn course for what's happening, but the fact that it could carry that far, can't have that.
That makes golfers like not athletes, right? Because like most athletes have to deal with like a loud crowd and all that stuff. Like these golfers are just
you'll get kicked out if you're loud. Yeah, I'll go someone that's golfing. Like you can't do it.
I wonder what kind of hell like Happy Gilmore actually created. Like if people went to the golf course and started acting like Happy Gilmore, and like all those uptight individuals were like, no.
So I can practically guarantee that, having never actually played on a golf course, Top Golf has a notice that you must stand at the line to swing. No swinging at it, running starts like that one movie. Like they have to address it. So I guarantee it's been an issue for golf in general.
I also love that that's a warning at Top Golf. Like don't run up and just hit the hell out of it. I wanted to take like a baseball bat, because I have some golf clubs, right? So I want to take a baseball bat, like hide it in my golf clubs and just get the ball and like knock it out. You know what I mean? Like I think that would be fun. Because I ain't hitting it near as far with a golf club as I would with a bat.
I think it was mostly because if you look at videos of like Top Golf fails, people will constantly just fling the clubs out onto the course of the field, whatever you call it. So like I don't even necessarily think it's like, oh, you're damaging our net. Like that net is far away. Even if you got like a cannon going on, you're probably not going to hit it. But I think they were losing clubs.
I guarantee you that there was probably like someone that did the Happy Gilmore, because that's cement. People need to remember, like that's cement.
Yeah,
they probably slipped and fell off like the third floor.
That too. I just see somebody had screening down the levels below. That's probably part of it.
Like if someone fell down right in front of me, I'd be like, somebody's closer. That's gonna hurt my throat that I did that too.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
I'll be recovering from it for 4 days.
I got the black lung.
Underrated movie.
It is. I did like the second one. I feel kind of like Anchorman with that. First one was good, set a scene. Second one tried to rebottle that lightning, and you just can't.
I didn't even know there was a second Zoolander until more recently.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, how recently did that come out, though?
I don't know. I can't actually even remember if I've seen it, to be perfectly honest.
Well, how are you going to hate on it if you've never seen it?
Because what I've heard about it. I mean, I haven't actually seen all of Anchorman 2.
You haven't heard people hate something and, like, you actually enjoy it, like the show?
Well, the clips I've seen, it was like, okay, they're being goofy in a way that is like, we were goofy before, so we have to be topping that goofy.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Like the over the top.
Exactly. So that was 2015? 2016. All right, here we go. Keyword love right now for everyone not listening to the actual stream.
It is the tipping point with my Tipton Fox Sports 1380. Got my guy, Andrew J. Polk, hanging out. You can follow him on Twitter at Andrew J. Polk, on Instagram at Talk El Paso, myself at Mr. Tipton 33. We are at Fox Sports 1380. I want to give a shout out to everyone that's tuned in on the Facebook live stream, YouTube, Twitter, all those places. Thank you so much. And of course, everyone listening on the free and reliable iHeartRadio app and over the airway of Fox Sports 1380. You want to get in the show, you can. 915-544-KTSM, 915-544-5876. We're talking about movies during the break. Once again, if you're not on the stream, you're out on some things.
You really are.
Has there ever been a sequel that was better than the original? Like as far as movies go. Because I don't know if there is. And I would venture to go out and say, like, whenever you hear an artist covering a song, like Metallica's Turn the Page, to me, better than Bob Seger's Turn the Page.
I'll agree with you there. I feel like, music can either be like an homage, can do a weird different thing, or can take it to a whole nother level. But movies are tough. The only one that comes to mind for me, and this one's going to be controversial, and you'll have no frame of reference on it, is going to be The Empire Strikes Back over the original Star Wars. I think that it took it to another good level. And one more for you. I like the sequel to Blade Runner more than the original because it took it to another level.
Augustine nominating Aliens. Dan Ornella saying Terminator 2.
Okay, wholeheartedly agree there as well, because again, it's all about taking the source material and not trying to change it or make it weirder. It's about just taking it to that next level.
Would you say any of like the Jurassic World movies better than Jurassic Park? Or like, is there a certain Jurassic Park better than one of the other Jurassic Parks?
I kind of like Lost World, but I haven't revisited those movies since they came out when I was much younger than now. So I'll have to think about those. I don't know if I like the newer ones more than the originals, though.
Want to wish a happy birthday to our dude, Dennis Joyner, tuning in right now as well.
Happy birthday, man.
Longtime supporters. Happy
Absolutely.
birthday. Hopefully you're getting to knock it back with some alcohol and barbecue.
Not necessarily in that order.
Am I allowed to like say that though? Like, yeah, right? Because there's nothing bad with that.
Yeah, you can tell someone to drink.
Okay, cool. He did say, yo, cheers, y'all. So hey, we're good with that.
He's already doing it. It's fine.
So he's been drunk. Ruben Venzor saying T2 Major League 2. So Terminator 2 and then Major League 2.
I don't know if I've ever seen Major League 2. Definitely saw the original. Yeah, saw the original.
I even saw Major League 3, Back to the Minors, garbage, waste of time.
Once you start getting to threes for most, like I'm thinking like your like main time always doing sequels. Like if you go to like your Police Academy, by the time you get to 3, like you're off the reservation at that point.
Dan Arnell saying that he agrees with you. Empire Strikes Back is Apex Star Wars. I feel like I need to watch these things because I've never seen them.
You do. You'll get so many cultural references more than you have.
I've tried. Like it's not for lack of trying. I've tried to watch these things and I just fall asleep. It's like Alice in Wonderland with me. Anytime I watch Alice in Wonderland, I fall asleep. Huh. Even whenever I do LSD with it.
or sync it up. Or no, it's Wizard of Oz with Pink Floyd.
I do love Wizard of Oz though. That is a great movie.
Okay, you got some weird biases with you, man. If you could stay awake during that, but not Star Wars, which has literal explosions going on.
Oh, it's because I have like literal explosions all the time around me. They bore me.
That's true. Yeah, we have had that issue in the office going on here.
Blowing stuff up, man. It's what I do best. Once again, the tipping point, my tip to Fox Sports 1380. We were talking earlier about the World Series. Mm-hmm. The Dodgers getting a big win yesterday, winning Game 1 of the World Series. Clayton Kershaw going 6 innings strong, giving up 1 earned run, 8 strikeouts.
Wow.
And there's a narrative that surrounds Clayton Kershaw that you don't have to be a hardcore baseball fan to know. And that's a simple fact that everyone thinks that Clayton Kershaw doesn't show up big in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. And it's not even that people think that, it's that we've seen it. Yesterday with that game, giving up only 1 earned run, his earned run average in the World Series and in the postseason dropped from 5 to 4.2. So, hey, he did decent right there.
Not bad.
The craziest stat that I heard about that, though, is that with yesterday's 8 strikeouts, Clayton Kershaw is now number 2 all-time on the strikeouts list for postseason. So he's getting the strikeouts. And then another stat that I heard. Prior to, in most of his appearances, and most of his 29 appearances that he's been in the playoffs, Clayton Kershaw pitching before the 7th inning, damn near unhittable.
Really?
Giving up 1.9 runs a game through those first 6 innings. The 7th inning, it all falls apart. I think you got enough of a sample size now to say, hey, we're not putting this guy out there in the 7th inning.
Yeah, that's when you just got your guy warming up, just ready to replace him at that point.
Dan Rennell saying the Dark Knight was better than the Batman Begins.
Okay, fair point. I'll take that as a fair point as well.
Like, I love Batman, but for whatever reason, I haven't watched any of those movies.
Oh, you got to. It doesn't disrespect the campier originals, but again, it takes it in a new and very. I like the direction it took him in. I like Nolan though. Not everyone likes Nolan.
Who's Nolan?
Christopher Nolan, the director.
Oh, yeah. Well, there we go. Once again, giving me a little bit of insight into what's going on. I want to say what's up to our friend Sarge Preston tuning in over here as well on the Facebook live stream. But I was going over all that stuff with Clayton Kershaw, and it made me think about this because a lot of Dodgers fans out there, like our friend Anthony Snow, hardcore Dodgers fan,
absolutely,
is ready to just ship Kershaw off, and he has been for the last couple of years that I've been working here. I think one of the first things he told me is the Dodgers need to get rid of Clayton Kershaw. It wasn't even hello. It was that the Dodgers need to get rid of Clayton Kershaw.
Yeah.
And this whole time I've been thinking to myself, he's arguably one of the greatest pitchers of all time. And granted, he doesn't have the wins. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't have the postseason wins. But I've been a firm believer, for a long time, that baseball greatness isn't considered by how many World Series you've won. Because if that's the case, a lot of people would say, okay, well, Ken Griffey Jr. never had any wins in the World Series.
There were no great Cubs in between those for the curse.
Well, like the same with the Boston Red Sox. Like Ted Williams wasn't great because he never won a World Series. Like there's a lot of stuff here, and like being a Yankees fan, that's hard for me to say. Like Ted Williams was great, but just because he never won a World Series doesn't mean that like his entire career just goes out the window.
I feel like championships should count there as well. I mean, I remember the way it was always thought of with baseball that, pennants and championships were almost as important. I mean, not as important, but up there in the level of importance as the World Series.
Well, part of the reason why I think that it's not that way, and that like I was kind of conditioned as a kid that it wasn't that way, is because of how many championships the Yankees have won and stifled other teams from winning championships.
Yeah.
Like whenever you've won almost like a quarter of the total overall championships that your game has played, it seems a bit one-sided. And yes, you can say whatever it is you want to say about the Yankees, but the simple fact is, whenever they did that, I think it kind of took some value off of things, because then you were like, oh, okay, well, look at this long list of names of players that never won a World Series championship, let alone even made the World Series. Like Barry Bonds made the World Series once. Ken Griffey Jr. never made it. Alex Rodriguez, had he not like actually been that the Yankees took that contract, he would have never made a World Series.
I think this is one example of why one entity being dominant in a sport is hurtful to the sport, because it means like, oh, well, we just expect him to.
Yeah, and then that's where like this whole mindset of like, great baseball comes from, because I don't think you necessarily need a world championship whenever it comes to baseball to like solidify yourself as one of the greatest of all time.
Mm-hmm. Agree with that.
I think it like helps, but it's not the thing that's going to be like, oh, okay, well, that separates him from everyone else. Because if you look at Clayton Kershaw's numbers, man, they are way too damn impressive to be like, oh, okay, well, yeah. But he never won a championship, so he's obviously a garbage pitcher. The simple fact of the matter is, like, you can look at a guy like Clayton Kershaw and be like, that guy's on the mound, I have a chance to win. You don't have that with everyone else.
No, that's true.
And then I thought about this too. Like Clayton Kershaw feels like he's been in MLB for like 900 years. He's 32 years old.
And that is roughly 900. That's Yoda's age in baseball years, in sports years.
Yeah, but not in baseball, especially not for
That's
a pitcher,
true.
because we have guys like Randy Johnson pitching well until like 42, 44. Jamie Moyer did the same thing. And the difference between them and like a guy like CC Sabathia is a guy like CC Sabathia was just a thrower. Whenever you can develop and become an actual pitcher like Clayton Kershaw is, where he doesn't just rely on a 99-mile-an-hour fastball, that makes you a guy that can last a little bit longer. So I think people like closing this chapter on Clayton Kershaw saying like, oh, okay, well, you're old and you're ancient and you're never going to win a championship. It's way too early for that. Because, I mean, come on.
Mm-hmm.
Dan Ornell, give me a list now of Christopher Nolan movies for Tip that are not Batman related. Memento, never seen it. Inception, never seen it. Interstellar, never seen it. Dunkirk, never seen it. The Prestige, never seen it.
And Tenet in theaters right now if anyone's going to a theater. I've seen all of those, and they're all pretty good.
You would see all of those, including Tenet, which is now in theaters.
Again, if you're going to theaters, which wouldn't necessarily recommend, but if you're going to, stay safe.
No, I don't think I would go into a theater.
Okay, so we have a friend, former colleague of my wife's actually, who's been doing the theater rental thing, and because he knows that we love movies, I mean, I've worked in a movie theater, that they keep inviting us, and because we know the people who he's inviting and that everyone will be legit about taking precautions, we've been agreeing to go to when he invites us. So in those circumstances, I have been doing it, I will admit.
That's whenever you saw Tenet, right?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So, and you liked it.
I very much liked it. If you liked Inception, you'll like this one. I'll put it that way.
See, I've heard like great things about Inception, and like I want to see it, but I'm also the type of person like if you build it up, my expectations are going to be way too high.
I'm about to say, don't listen to any of the hype. Just it's an interesting ride at the very least.
So we were talking about it before we went to the break here. I'm going to see if I could change your mind a little bit, Andrew, on who you got in this next game for Game 2 of the World Series as you tuned into the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton, Fox Sports 1380. I am not a Dodgers fan.
That is not a secret.
But I'm going to tell you this. The Tampa Bay Rays are trotting out Blake Snell, and the Dodgers are countering with Tony Gonsolin. Gonsolin, yes.
Did you give him those word problems against him?
In his last outing, Gonsolin went 2 innings, gave up 2 hits, 2 runs, a homer, and 3 walks with 1 strikeout. Blake Snell didn't fare much better. He actually lost against the Houston Astros, one of those few losses that they had in that 7-game series. Snell went 4 innings, gave up 2 runs on 3 hits, walked 4, struck out 4. Have I swayed you a little bit with our guy Gonsolin? Yes, Gonsolin not being that great.
I don't know. I just hope both teams have a good time.
I like that. I just hope both teams go out, they play hard, and everyone gets to go home with their own trophy. I guess technically they do. Like you have the ALCS championship and the NLCS championship.
They've won stuff to get to this point, so they technically do, even though one of them can sneer at the others, I guess.
There are way too many championships in sports now. What happened to just having one winner?
No second place medals.
Dan Ornell saying, sorry, not about cars, but plenty of car crashes in them. If you like time bending, then you'll be entertained.
Referring to Nolan in general, I think.
Okay. Don't know how I feel about time bending. Not a big fan of car crashes either. Like just because I like Fast and Furious, I like the cars. I don't want to see them get destroyed.
Yeah, they're supposed to be fine at the end of it. Gosh.
Yeah, but say, especially whenever they run over that Saline Mustang in the second Fast and Furious, it broke my heart because I'm a huge Mustang guy.
Oh yeah.
Maybe we talk about sports coming up next.
We've been talking about sports. You've been sports proselytizing over there.
I'm about to say, look at me having a sports-heavy segment.
Never again.
Dan Ornelas is saying that the movie topic is much more interesting than the World Series. I put like a tweet out and I had people like a poll, right? Like, who you got? Rays, Dodgers, who cares? Who cares won with 44% of the vote.
So about that baseball viewership problem.
In El Paso too, like this is like Dodgers country, and everyone
it absolutely is. Yeah, they got a problem they got to deal with.
It's because everyone's 1,000 years old that watches baseball.
Yeah.
Like even yesterday, man, like I tuned in and I watched maybe an inning and a half and was like, okay, I'm done with this. I got much more important stuff to do.
Baseball, the reason it's called America's pastime is because you don't go there to be entertained. You go to be like, well, I got nothing else to do this afternoon.
Unless it's a Chihuahuas game. But like minor league baseball is so different than
minor league is different. That was developed here. Dudley Dome. He changed the model, and national baseball, top league baseball, has not responded to that even now. I mean, there's a reason they use the line, close your eyes and think of baseball.
I've never heard that, but hey.
You haven't?
No. Because if I think of Alex Rodriguez, it's ending quicker.
Because that's the thing. That phrase has been around since before televised baseball. You think about televised baseball, oh yeah, that's sexy. Swinging bats, people running, grunting, like there's a lot going on there. A lot to stimulate the senses. We're talking about box score baseball. That's what that phrase is. That's what that phrase is from.
I always love and I marvel at the people at Chihuahuas games that have their own box, their own card, and they're keeping score and stuff like that. I'm like, why?
Darren Hunt, shout out to you if you're ever listening.
Huh?
Darren Hunt, shout out to him if he ever happens to listen to this show.
I actually ran into him and his wife. I'm trying to remember his wife, or no, not it's not Trisha, right?
Yeah, Trisha.
Yeah. So it wasn't Darren Hunt. So I don't know who I ran into because I know Trisha's his wife.
Yes.
But I ran into somebody else as I did a thing last year at the Chihuahuas, and she used to be on the news here.
There's a lot of those. Yeah. You got to be more specific.
The name will come to me.
Okay.
But we're doing this thing and we're all talking. We're I'm there representing iHeart and we're having a good old time. And I look and her husband's sitting down in the box suite, the only person paying attention to the game with a scorecard, marking all the stuff up. And I'm like, respect, I guess.
I was say, if you're about it, you're committed. You do you.
It just seems like the most boring way to pass time. Other than watching baseball, you want to make baseball
why it
boring?
Works, Tim.
You want to make baseball even more boring? Let's do this.
Let's make math. I don't want a bacon onion pizza.
It is the tipping point with Mike Tipton. EDM Wednesday. Andrew J. Polk. Mr. Tipton 33 at Fox Sports 1380. You want to get me in an instant good mood? This song.
Fantastic.
Feel bad once again for everyone out there watching on the stream.
Blame Facebook.
Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Thank you all for joining. Everyone on the airways of Fox Sports 1380, the free and reliable iHeartRadio app. Andrew, turn it up. We are sexy and we know it here on the tipping point of my Tipton Fox Sports 1380. You want to get on the show, you can. 915-544-KTSM, 915-544-5876. Andrew, once again, coming in off of a hot, fresh Talk El Paso.
Mm-hmm.
Got to experience what normally happens to me. What happened today, Andrew?
Me just taking the rundown and just lighting it on fire and throwing it out the window, because I think we're starting to prove that El Pasoans, as the audience of this show knows, appreciates live local talk radio. This is interactive. We took pretty much solid calls for the last half hour of that show because people want to have their opinions known, want to be able to discuss what's going on. So we bring in the issues, we set the table, and then we let everyone come to it. And that's what we're going to continue doing there, 4 to 5 p.m. every day, Monday through Friday on News Radio 690 KTSM.
Augustine saying that Darren Hunt got mad at him because of UTEP graduation. Now I need to know this story.
I was like, there's a story there that we need to find out more.
Like, come on, Augustine. Like that can't be the end of it. And I doubt that it's simply because of UTEP graduation. Like it's something you did, more than likely exposing yourself on a Zoom chat.
Please tell us you haven't done that, Augustine. Please, I can't handle any more.
Although I would say, out of anyone that's associated with this show, anyone that's ever tuned in and listened, that the one person who I think would be that guy is Augustine.
Voted most likely to expose himself on a Zoom chat in high school. That's going to be a thing now. Oh, my God.
Yeah, you just made it a thing.
Oh, God. That's going to be in the next yearbook coming out. I hate everything that's happening right now.
Well, close second place is Mike Rivera. I can see it, though.
This is such quality radio.
It is. Mina Kimes having the best, though, I guess, Zoom exploitation-related tweet. First off, who does that? Like,
why would you do that in anywhere? Like, I get that all laptops have cameras, but if you're going to do your business, why would you do it in front of a laptop that is actively doing something work-related?
Like, when has anyone ever been at work and been like, you know what I can go for right now?
You know what I really got to crank right now?
Mike Rivera. But once again, Mina Kimes having the best tweet related to that, saying that Kyler Murray is exposing the Cowboys D with his Zoom.
That is such a great tweet.
Oh, man. And he did. He 100% did. He dominated them. It wasn't even funny. The Dallas Cowboys got a lot of issues. Jerry Jones saying he's not in a feel-good mood.
Oh, he super isn't, but about the Zoom anyway.
So it's a pleasant thought about the Zoom for you.
Well, for
okay, for Jerry. Augustine saying, but he got mad. He wasn't going to walk, but there was going to be fans in the stands.
Oh, that is right. Yeah, Darren graduated, finished his degree recently. Congrats to him on that. But yeah, they didn't have their graduation. They did it virtually, and yet there were going to be fans in the stands. So I can understand that. I don't know why he's mad at you, though.
Probably because Augustine's saying something just to play.
Were you poking the bear?
Yeah, that's what it was. Just poking the bear.
Oh, Darren, you don't get to walk. Augustine, come on.
I have issues with like certain people and like walking and all that stuff because like to me it was never a big deal, but you already know how I approach like education and all that stuff. I go in, I get it, I get on my way.
And that's fine. That's perfectly fine, but it's important to some people.
Yeah, no, and I completely understand that. But recently, and I might get in trouble for this, we had a certain individual that we may or may not know that did something during high school and wasn't allowed to walk whenever she graduated. He or she graduated. And then 30 some odd years later, buried the hatchet and was able to walk across. Well, my mindset is if you messed up, you messed up.
Yeah.
So why even make it a thing?
Again, it's symbolic to certain people. I don't know. Like if it's someone that was like, oh, I didn't finish. Like I love the stories when it's like I got called up to World War II and then came back and finished my high school diploma decades later. Yeah. Like that, sure, go ahead and do it. But Yeah, I feel like it's a privilege, not a right to walk.
Yeah, like once again, like you have to earn it and keep it, and if you mess up, then you messed up. Like it's really that simple. You got to take your medicine. That's the way that I always look at it.
But I'm also not that invested in it. I'm not going to go and get pitchforks and torches as someone walks.
No, like me neither. But like to sit there and complain for 30 years.
Yeah, that's a little weird. Yeah. That's on that person.
Longer, like that much more longer than what you were actually in your entire education system for. Dan Ornell saying that I need to be nice to his fellow. I'm not saying who it was. I am not saying anything of the sort. I'm just saying it's a weird thing to me. But I digress. I am a weird guy. Dan also asking, once Jerry Jones hands over the reins to his son Steven, do you think that they will hire a GM, or does the owner continue with that role? I think Steven hires a GM.
I think Jerry Jones is going to go brain in a glass jar route, frankly, and he's never going to give up them reins.
He's going to get cryogenically frozen, just like Ted Williams.
Yeah, he's going to be hanging out with Ted Williams and Walt Disney, and they'll be the ones ruling the world after the devastation of whatever happens from this election happens.
Yeah, but we'll figure it out. We'll find out what the Dallas Cowboys are going to do going forward. I did want to mention something, though, that's going on with the Cleveland Browns, because I like this mindset. Baker Mayfield said today that he was, quote-unquote, pissed. Because, quote, the feeling throughout our building after that loss that got us to 4-2 has never felt so much like 0-6 before. But that's because we have very high expectations for ourselves. Odell Beckham Jr. agreeing, saying at this point, I don't really care to keep trying to make myself look like a good guy to the world and all of that expletive. I'm tired of losing to good teams. I love that mindset. I wish a lot of teams had that mindset, the Dallas Cowboys. Because that means, look, we're tired of it and we're trying to change the culture here.
Okay.
People like recently, especially with the game that Baker Mayfield had on Sunday against the Pittsburgh Steelers, have been saying, oh, it's too much for him. Get him out of there, blah, 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 blah. They're 4-2. Like it's been a while since Cleveland has been this good. They're in second place in the division right now because that's such a damn good division. Pittsburgh, undefeated right now. Baltimore, I think, is also 4-2 on the season.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So to me, it's like, okay, well, I'm not saying you could win like a championship with Baker, but I also think about this because a lot of people, especially down in Miami, were writing off Ryan Tannehill. He's not good. He's not a good quarterback. He converted from being a wide receiver his junior year to being a quarterback his senior year at Texas A&M, and now he's not a good quarterback. Yet somehow, some way, sticking with him, and now in Tennessee, he's an MVP candidate. Led the league in completion percentage last year. Once again, all it takes is just being a little patient. And, like, that's the thing that we have to get with a lot of these teams.
Yeah.
They want to hire and fire coaches so quickly. If the Dallas Cowboys had done that, Tom Landry wouldn't have been the coach that he was because, once again, he lost a lot of games early on.
I mean, we've talked about this with UTEP athletics, with professional sports here. You got to let them develop things. You got to let people develop. You got to let teams come together. And so just to demand immediate success, it's like everyone remembers, of course, what the Patriots did with Tom Brady with 6 rings, but they forget about the time it took to get there. They think that it's like emerged fully formed with these rings on them fingers. It doesn't work that way.
And that's the case too with a lot of things. Like you have to have things fall into place for you. A lot of people would have said like the Indianapolis Colts would have been that team to like say, oh, okay, this is going to be a really good team going forward whenever they drafted Andrew Luck. And we all saw how great Andrew Luck was. And then out of nowhere, Andrew Luck was nothing. Mm-hmm. Like Andrew Luck retired. The entire thing just imploded on the Colts, and now they have Phillip Rivers, who's 198 years old, as their quarterback. I mean, so you know he lays it down.
Just not on the field.
Not on the field anymore. Doesn't have the stamina. Maybe that's what it was. All the stamina was put into those 9 kids.
We got to get him a TV.
Yeah, we do.
An Xbox.
One of the things I love about Phillip Rivers is that he doesn't cuss.
Really?
So, like, you'll see him on the sideline, he'll be like, shoot.
Gosh darn it.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it is that he does, man. Like, I absolutely love Phillip Rivers for that.
Okay, respect for that, yeah.
But I will say this. Like, I love that mindset that Baker Mayfield and Odell Beckham Jr. have. They are 4-2. Dan Ornell is saying if Baker can't win with that much talent around him, then he's not the guy. I will tell you this, though. A football team has 53 players on it. It's very rarely just one guy. Tom Brady didn't win by himself. He won with Gronkowski. He won with a whole crew of people and a great head coach. The same thing with the Dallas Cowboys and Jimmy Johnson. There are so many Hall of Famers on those teams with the Dallas Cowboys, even with Aaron Rodgers and the team that he carried to the Super Bowl. Like, these teams do not win because of one guy. They win because of a great system. We have to stop saying, you didn't give me the results I wanted in 2 years, you're fired. Because what's that going to do, man? Like, you start from zero all over again instead of building continuity. But the Dallas Cowboys need to fire Mike McCarthy. More sports coming up next.
Dun, dun, dun. Oh.
The show's going too quick today, man.
It is. We're too good of a time. We need to stop having a good time, everyone. Too many people are excited and want to be involved with this.
I could say jokes there. I'm not going to.
Yeah, we may not be on air, but people are still listening.
To hold my tongue once in a while. It's so hard.
It is. Well, we've got to about half your sheet here. That's better than average.
Yeah. So we can get the whole last part of the sheet knocked out. Speed round? Can we do it?
Round coming up. Buck, hold on to your butts.
I thought I heard an F-bomb from you right now, too.
Oh, shucks.
You sound like Phillip Rivers.
Oh, boy.
Good golly, Miss Molly. Again, going to kill my throat with that, man.
A little bit, yeah.
Augustine,
mudslinging from the sidelines as always.
Are you happy with average? What's average? 12? Yeah.
Yeah, and we're doing better than that. Well, we're also talking about you making it through your sheets. We're doing better than average. So, no, we are not happy with average. We are raising the standards.
Rudy Saucedo saying the FCC ain't monitoring Twitter. Let it loose. FCC ain't, but my boss is. I give you that much. Also, I finally got Walt to like a tweet of mine because I made a joke about Lionel Messi. Or
you've known what that audience wants, Tim.
Yeah. The one time I talk soccer. Goal.
Go sports. Score more points. Make the most goal balls.
You shoot that free throw and make the field goal.
Touchdown. Obviously doing a little bit of self-censorship there.
I've never heard that phrase like that before. That feels weird till I've read that.
Yeah,
go stink it.
There you go.
August, there was Champions League today too.
Yeah, so there's our soccer content.
Yep.
For the day.
There you go.
For the week. For the month.
Maybe we should do a football Friday again.
There you go.
That went over so well.
It went over like a lead balloon.
Again, how old do you have to be to have that phrase?
Love that phrase.
It is the tipping point of my tipping Fox Sports 1380. Thank you all so much for tuning in to the show. Augustine Pimentel saying Brie Larson, hot or not? Who is Brie Larson?
Isn't the one who played Captain Marvel? No, that's Avery, I know.
I don't know. Well, I guess we'll figure this one out later on. Thanks for the content, Augustine.
Okay, yes, I am accurate there.
So I will take your word for this, yay or nay.
She's not unattractive.
Oh, there you go. There's the answer to your question. A very resounding, yeah.
I mean, it depends on the role, like any actress. Like the one that she got the Oscar for, Room. That is not a movie that anyone can be described as hot in, but it was a good acting job.
We ended the last segment talking about Odell Beckham Jr. and his Cleveland Browns. We start this segment talking about Odell Beckham Jr. and his former LSU Tigers.
Yeah, he's getting a lot of column inches lately, huh, with his shenanigans.
Those of you that remember, his shenanigans included at the end of the national championship game, giving out about $2,000 to 3 different players. At first, LSU tried to cover it up by saying, no, it's fake money. Fake ducats.
Which is such a ridiculous claim.
I've always dumped it. Like, just own it. But a grand total of $6,000 changed hands from Odell Beckham Jr. to 3 LSU Tigers, 2 of them currently in the NFL.
Which, I mean, it's such a stupid thing to care this deeply about, frankly.
The NCAA has now sanctioned LSU. LSU will be forfeiting 8 scholarships. They will have a reduction in visits to their team facilities for incoming recruits. And then they have now banned the controversial Odell Beckham Jr. from their facilities for 2 years.
Oh, he supported our athletes. How dare he?
Of all the things to do. So then it got me thinking, because as you know, I cannot just simply let that go. $2,000 doesn't seem like a big deal to me, especially whenever 2/3 of the people that got the money are no longer student athletes. But then I thought about the money that LSU gave to head coach Ed Orgeron.
Mm-hmm.
His base salary, $4 million.
Which I'm sure will make him, if not at that university alone, if not in the state, one of the most highly paid public employees in that state.
Along with that, because of winning the national championship, because of winning 12 or more games for LSU, because of winning the SEC, bonuses came his way to the tune of $1.6 million. Simply for winning the national championship, $500,000 as a bonus.
There's a lot to be mad about here.
The players got literally nothing. Exactly. The student athletes getting punished because of $2,000. I will say this. At the end of that national championship game, for those seniors and the people that declared to go to the NFL draft, like Justin Jeffries, they're no longer student athletes at the end of that game.
Yeah.
Which means
that's true.
Which means they could have had money. Like the second that clock hit double zeros or triple zeros or whatever the hell you want to call it, they were no longer student athletes because they were going on to the professional ranks.
Mm-hmm.
So if anything, Odell Beckham Jr. gave someone $2,000.
Yeah, like what's any difference between like him handing it to him in a parking lot afterwards? Like I get that he got caught doing it. We all know this happens behind closed doors, and I guess that's the real hypocrisy of it that gets me. To think that there is no actual money or items of value being exchanged to student athletes, particularly to get them go certain places, all it means is that the ones who have the most resources are the ones least likely to get caught. Because the ones that have minimal resources are the ones that are the ones that are going to not do it as well, frankly.
Prior to the national championship game, Odell Beckham Jr. gave every single one of the athletes on LSU a brand new set of $1,500 headphones. Every single athlete, which is upwards 80 on the roster, but it was the $2,000 that was overboard. You can't hand out cold, hard, fake-looking cash.
I get it, because it was so public and he did it so in the open, and they're like, oh, no, come on, man. You're supposed to do that in the locker room. Like, I'm sure that's the main thing behind this. Like, when someone called and yelled at Odell on the phone, like, why didn't you wait to the locker room? So it's not even the fact that he did it. It's that he did it in front of a camera, which is so stupid.
How soon is it going to be, though, before we just get done with the NCAA model that they have right now and say, look, you guys need to start taking care of these athletes?
It's cracking faster than ever. I mean, this whole year has proved how, frankly, irrelevant the NCAA is to a whole lot of things. And they've either been making people mad or people have been ignoring them, and neither of those bode well for the continued existence of that organization.
So it got me thinking. As you know, I got to go do a little more research. What are some of the dumbest things that people have gotten in trouble for with the NCAA?
Mm-hmm.
I found a website, thegruelingtruth.com. Don't know how great it is, but hey, we're just going to go off this list that it gave because it was the first website that came up.
Always the best.
Oklahoma's Pasta Gate in 2013. The violation: 3 current student athletes received food in excess of the NCAA's regulation at a graduation banquet. The 3 had already graduated from the school but returned for an additional season of competition, your fifth-year seniors. The 3 players were provided pasta in excess of the permissible amount that was allowed. The resolution: the 3 players were required to donate $3.83 each, the cost of the pasta serving, to a charity of their choice in order to be reinstated. The department provided rules education applicable to the athletic staff and members.
Oh, this is painful.
Again, coming out of OU, Oklahoma, the butt dial gate. The violation: assistant coach Bruce Kittle pocket dialed a recruit that day after receiving a permissible text from the recruit. Butt dialed him, accidental.
Mm-hmm.
The resolution: football staff was prohibited from initiating phone calls or correspondence with the recruit involved for 4 weeks, and the recruit was declared ineligible for competition at the school and is barring NCAA reinstatement.
Good. That is ridiculous.
Illegal dunks by North Florida basketball players. An NCAA rule states that players are not allowed to dunk in the last 20 minutes of pregame warm-ups before the game starts. The rule is real. It is Section 4, Class B, Article 1E in the NCAA men's basketball rule book. And in 2014, North Florida broke the rule, resulting in Tennessee Tech shooting 2 technical free throws before the game started. North Florida lost by 2 points.
I'm mad. You have got my blood boiling. I just came out an hour of political discussion, Tim, and I have never been madder than I have right now.
The NCAA is just absolutely ludicrous whenever it comes to that. Like, there's more. Like if you want to know more, there's more.
And I don't think my psyche or physicality can take any more rage here.
The Las Vegas Raiders play on our airwaves. They will be doing that this weekend, hopefully. However, that is in question because offensive lineman Trent Brown was now placed on the COVID-19 list.
No.
They had to send home their entire offensive line unit so they can get tested for the Oakland Raiders. John Gruden saying, quote, I guess the offensive line were around Trent. Hopefully they will get some players back tomorrow for Sunday's game. He's not happy, says Gruden. He's concerned, really more concerned about Trent and his health more than anything. This is COVID-19, and I'm concerned about anybody that has it or is near it, especially whenever it comes down to W's.
Oh, that would stink. That's awful. Hope no one else got it, but we're in the thick of it, that's for sure.
Dan Ornell saying California is already allowing student athletes to make profit from their likenesses. He believes that Florida and a few other states are going to be following. The day that Texas follows it is the day that the rest of the dominoes fall.
Yeah, that's the coffin. That's the coffin javelin there.
And it's the domino that's going to fall that winds up killing the current NCAA standard that we have right now, which is just an absolute joke.
Good. Want it to die.
I kind of want to dig deeper into this because I know that there was players that got kicked off of the Boise State team for sleeping on the floor of an upperclassman's apartment.
Lord. All right. There's so much more we can do.
Thank you so much for tuning into the show. Major League Baseball Game 2 going on today. Go Rays! The Odd Couple with Chris Broussard and Rob Parker coming up next on Fox Sports 1380.
I've never felt so enraged in an organization that has never done anything to me personally.
You're like, I hate the NCAA.
I'm not saying I would actively hurt the NCAA, but if the physical embodiment and impersonation of the NCAA was like on a crosswalk in front of me, not sure if I'd break. That's how I feel.
You'd glue its elbows together.